Welcome back everybody. Today we're gonna play Astra on Abyss. Today is day 177 of playing every agent on every map. As you can see, I put quite a lot of yellow into the upcoming agents that I'm gonna do and on which maps, because I was trying to figure out on how to make it more or less fit. So this is what I came up with so far. If you still have any other wishes of agents that I should cover, write them down in the comments. And now getting over towards Astra, and I think Astra is actually a pretty good pick on a map like Abyss. Abyss is one of the biggest maps in the game, and Astra has one of the biggest smokes in the game. Also, her wall is a pretty strong util, and I think Astra is just in general the best single smokes agent to play on this map, and it makes it way stronger than, for example, an Omen or a Clove. Clove has the ability to smoke after death, which is a pretty strong ability, but in general I think Astra smokes are just way better because they're bigger, you can use them for more, and you can also outplay the enemies better. Also, you're able to play a pretty well played post plant with it, and in general you can also use them to spam through smokes, which is a pretty common thing on a map like Abyss. Starting off with A-side defense. On A-side defense you can play pretty aggressively by placing a star right here and then either smoking or recalling it. In this case I'm gonna recall it. You can cross over towards this corner, hold the people that are coming into main from, for example, up here. This is especially strong if you have a jet. The jet can just hold up here, pop their dash as soon as they think, yes, somebody is coming in, and then dash out. And you can just hold, for example, this angle, even walk a little further out, wait for them, maybe even go into the smoke or go into this close corner right here, waiting for the enemies to come out. This allows you to play pretty aggressively on the A main space, and it also allows you to maybe even go for this orb. Because your Astra smoke is pretty big, as soon as you smoke here, you can go in, see the orb, you can even fake tap it, make sure the enemies think, yeah, you are inside here, they might spray, they might use some util, and then flashing out of this smoke can even be pretty strong. Also pretty good if you just want to get this orb. Other than that, I would recommend that you're playing a little further back on an Astra. Usually you're gonna smoke off main with a smoke like this. A smoke that you can use on most agents but you cannot use it on an Astra is this one right here. It is a one-way smoke for the people that are coming out of main. This smoke will kind of work as a one-way, but it isn't the greatest one, and the enemies have a pretty large space to get out of. Usually just using the middle smoke is pretty good, and you can use this one-way, but again, it's not that great. You have a small area where it is actually a one-way, so using it like that can work, but it isn't the greatest idea. Usually smoke here, and then place another star in front of the smoke. With the second star you can use it either as a stun or a suck, and then like that you can kind of catch enemies off guard as they're coming out. For example, you're just holding this angle right here, waiting for the enemies to come out. As soon as you see somebody you can go either back and stun, finding the people close, peeking out back here, or what you can even do is have a smoke here and have a recall star here. Smoke main, recall this, walk into, and then you're almost behind the enemies already, and you're in a spot most of the enemies don't really expect you, and you can get some easy kills off of that. What you can also do is to use a star on the default plant spot to kind of spam, because usually the enemies are going to smoke here, and then either backside, here, or here. But with a smoke right here, it is pretty hard for you to kind of guess where the default planting spot is, so you can just place a star right here, then either spam right on top of it, spam to the sides, and get kills like that. You can also use it as a suck or a stun, and you can get some free spams on the enemies like that. This is pretty strong and will make it really hard for the enemies to go for a plant. What you can also do is to just suck the person off of the plant spot as they are trying to go for a plant, like this, and then spam at the center or spam around the center to do a lot of damage on the enemies. What you can also do is to place another star right here combined with the main smoke and this star here, smoke. As soon as they're coming out, stun, and as soon as the enemies are trying to come out here, you can suck, and then you can jump out and get some kills off of the enemies like that. Or you can even use a star right here all the way in the outside, recall it and jump out. You can either jump out to this side as well and be in a pretty unexpected spot. What you can also do sometimes, but it isn't the greatest idea, is to play backside, play inside of the smoke, and then as soon as you think somebody is close, peek out and go for a kill. Or even just play backside and play for a counter plant spam by using a star like this, going out like this, and then getting a kill on the enemy that is going for a plant. For a retake ult or just a retake smoke, I would recommend a smoke in towards main and then a smoke on top of the spike. The smoke in main allows you to kind of isolate the fights from main, and then the smoke on top of the site allows you to go for a easy defuse. Don't smoke this right away if you haven't taken the site yet, because that allows the enemies to just play inside of the smoke and makes it pretty hard for you to do something against them. So wait for your team to have cleared the site with the main smoke and then smoke on the site. Other than that, you can also use your ult either through main like this, Or if you have teammates that are playing in heaven, you can even use a ult like this. Even better if you have a smoke combined with them like this. This allows you to play behind the smoke, behind the wall, and your teammates can just hold in front of the wall, making sure nobody can go for a spam. And like that, you can get an easy defuse off of the spike and can get a easy round win for your team. Now switching over towards mid, and what you can do on mid is to play a little aggressive. You can either use a smoke right here or a recall star. If you use it like a smoke, you can walk out, you can even go up here and fight the people that are coming through the lowers. Just to make sure you have a teammate holding this, then you can even push inside of the smoke, make sure to clear out the close corners, and maybe even get a kill of the enemies like that. Or you can also play close here, what I really like doing. Play close here, play a little aggressive, get a kill, go back, place a star either here or a little further in front, recall that and run back. Or use the second one, already start running, and then you can get out like this. What you can also do is to use a smoke, for example right here, and then go back like that. Or even play a little more aggressive, go behind here, hold the people that are coming top, go inside of the smoke here, even on top of this ledge. Maybe you get a kill and push through, but that is kind of a risky thing, so I don't recommend doing this all of the time. What you can also do if you think the enemies are coming in towards mid is to use a star right here and then use it as a stun. Stunning the people close, get a kill, and then go get out again. Now switching over towards B, and B has a lot of options to play aggressive or even in a lot of different spots. For example, the usual B smoke you have is you use one right here. This smoke will block off the enemies as they're coming in main. It allows you to even play on top of this ledge, waiting for the enemies to come through the smoke and get a free kill on them. Or even using a smoke right here to kind of block the enemies off as well. Even waiting here, as soon as you hear somebody jump, you can spam through. What you can also do with a similar smoke to this one is if you place it all the way to the edge, use a smoke like this and then hide in it. You can even hold the people that are coming out, or you can go all the way close here, hold these people, and then wait for the enemies to come out of main, and you are behind them. This is a pretty strong play, and most of the people don't really expect it because it's such a small space for you to play in. What you can also do is to play here on top with a smoke either on this side, making it really hard for the enemies to clear you out. You can play behind it, you can play in it, and if somebody is walking into the smoke, you can even get a free kill. You can even play here at the bottom, waiting for the enemies to come in. Just make it insanely hard for the enemies to take this space, or even placed on the other side, kind of using it as a one-way as well. Kind of see the enemies that they're jumping over, even hiding inside it is a pretty good idea. Playing on top again is not too bad of an idea. What you can also do is to play aggressive with a smoke up here and fight the people that are coming out here close. Or what I like to do sometimes on eco rounds is to buy a stinger, use a smoke here, use a smoke here, recall, push through, and play really aggressively. This most of the time is not really expected by the enemies. It will get you killed, but most of the times, especially on eco runs, it can be worth it, so you can get at least one kill. What you can also do to kind of fight the enemies as they're coming into the site is use a smoke right here. This smoke is really good if you have a teammate that is playing right here, or a teammate that is playing right here, but also wants to defend the backside, and makes it in general pretty hard for the enemies to come into the site. You can even kind of jump up here, have a pretty unexpected off angle on the people in window, or even then jump back down. This is, in my opinion, a pretty good smoke. You can also use it to cross over with just a recall smoke and get into a safe spot. This allows you to play in this backside area and kind of defend the site instead of just waiting for a retake of your team. What you can also do on an Astra is this angle right here, waiting for the enemies to come into main. But for that, I recommend that you have a star waiting for you right here, get a kill, recall, jump down, or even use it as a smoke. And now for a retake. For a retake, I recommend that you're using a wall either like this, making sure to cut off the edge right here, so if anyone is trying to jump through, you can just wait for them. And the main space is also cut off, and just one person can hold this, and then you use a smoke on top of the spike. Either if they have planted here, use it here, or if they have planted back here, you can also just use a smoke right here. What you can also do with a ult is something like this, making sure your team fights in front of the ult, and there is a person behind it, just holding the fuse, and makes it pretty hard for the enemies to play post plant with. Other than that, another really specific ult, if they have planted in this close corner here, you can kind of block yourself in by just using a ult like this. But this isn't the greatest ult, but it can work sometimes. and you can go for a pretty free defuse. Unless the enemies have like some mollies or something, it makes it pretty hard for you to get out. But if they don't have any of them, you can just get into that corner and wait for the enemies to come in and kind of fight them in front of you. Switching over towards attack now, and on attack you're going to use 2 or even 3 different smokes on the A side. The one you're going to use almost every round is one like this. This smoke is really important for you to block off the heaven area. This area is mostly where the enemies are playing from, and it is a pretty strong area where the enemies can play from. They can play spam, they can even jump out, and it makes it pretty hard for your team to come into sight if this isn't smoked. So always make sure you have a smoke right here. There are options for a smoke or one up here to kind of one way off the backside and make it hard for the enemies to peek out, or all the way deep. With a deep smoke right here, you can also take all of the backside area and make it pretty hard for the enemies to hold this area. With the smoke right here, the enemies will get the backside area, but it makes it really hard for them to peek out here, and it is in general a pretty hard smoke to kind of get around. So using this smoke right here is the one I recommend most of the times, or all of the times if you're hitting A, and the other one is most of the times the ones on backside. But if the enemies on backside are not really fighting or anything, or are trying to fight, you can use a smoke like this to kind of stop them from doing that. Other options for util is a stun here close, a suck here close. You can also use that one as a stun, or ones over towards these 2 areas to kind of stop the enemies from peeking out. Using these areas, or using these utils in these areas, makes it really hard for the enemies to peek out from the backside, and makes it pretty easy for your team to take the site. I recommend that you also have some flashes going to the backside, but that is not your job as an Astra. As an Astra, you just need to make sure that your team is smoked, and that your util is kind of stopping the enemies from peeking you while you're trying to go for a plant, or while you're trying to take the site. What you can also do sometimes is use a star right here to kind of clear out the close corner first, recall it, check if somebody's close here, and then focus more on the people that are playing close. And like that, you can isolate angles in a pretty simple way. For your ult, if you're trying to use your ult, it's either one through heaven like this, that can get jumped pretty easily, or another ult like this, that will just allow you to go for a pretty easy plant here on the bridge, and then you can play post plant with the rest of your teammates util. This wall right here is pretty easy to just peek through and get a kill on the people that are going for a plant. Same thing also here. But if you have your whole team holding this, it makes it pretty hard for the enemies to do that, and you will be easily able to get the plant in and then play post plant. Also, a pretty strong thing about the Astra is her ability to play post plant. For example, if you have planted right there, you can use a suck and a stun to kind of outplay the enemies. What I like to do sometimes, because people most of the times expect that you're using a suck first, so they're only tapping, is to use a stun, peek, get a kill, go back, and then after a second tap I will peek again, because the enemies will think, yeah, it's going to be a suck now, and then I will only use my suck. It is always dependent on what the enemies like to do, so always keep that in mind if you're playing an Astra and you're playing post plant. What are the enemies' tendencies to do, and also what can you do to kind of catch the enemies off guard. Now switching over towards mid, and on mid you have the option to go for an A split. With a smoke right here, you can kind of smoke off most of the area, just need to be careful about this angle right here, and this allows you to then go into here and then over towards the A side. To support your teammates that are trying to do this, you can use a smoke right here, so they only have to focus on the right side, and then they can go over towards the side. This can be a pretty strong play and can make it pretty hard for the enemies to take this or to defend this base. The other options for smokes in mid is one right here. The smoke isn't the greatest one, but it can kind of serve you the purpose of people not being able to peek you from right there. Or the other option is to use a smoke all the way back here to deny the enemies the cross here from this angle right here, kind of spam you, and it will allow you to walk down mid pretty freely, just focusing on this angle and on this angle, because if anyone is trying to jump through here, they will have to go on the rope first, and they're not going to be accurate, and it makes it pretty hard for them to kind of play off of that. Another thing that you can do sometimes if you're going to the B side is use a smoke right here, but this smoke isn't the greatest one. If you're actually going towards the B side from mid, I recommend to use another smoke right here, if you still have one, to kind of block off the CT area and then clear out these close corners and go to the B side. What you can also do to clear out the close corner right here is use a suck. This is also something you can use on a retake and makes it pretty hard for the enemies to play in. And even pre-firing around these corners is a pretty good idea. For the heaven area, if you want to clear out that, I just recommend to use a stun, where you usually would use a smoke. And like that, you can get an easy time taking the heaven area and then focus more on the people that are playing on the side. Talking about the B side, and the B side is a pretty difficult one to take. You have a lot of options for smokes. The ones I like is to place a smoke right here and a smoke in heaven. These two smokes don't allow the enemies to either play on top of these boxes right here and peek out. Same thing also with heaven. So if there's an enemy in heaven just holding you, you can smoke them off like this. And you can also smoke the people that are trying to go for a play on top of these boxes. The other option that you have for util you can use is also a stun right here to kind of stop the enemies from peeking out behind the smoke. And it makes it pretty hard for the enemies to play in this close corner, so they're kind of forced to either go for a fight on you or go back and play retake with their tree. For an ult, there's a pretty simple one I recommend. It is this one right here. It will cut off heaven, it will cut off these close boxes here. It kind of allows some people to peek through here, but most of the times you're just going to be able to go for a plant and then go back and play post. But it's pretty strong about an Astra and post plant on this map is you are able to use an Odin to a pretty simple degree. If you have planted right here on this star, you can just wait right here, spam through this wall and do a lot of damage to the people that are trying to go for a plant or a defuse, and even go all the way back here and get some free kills on the people that are trying to go for a defuse. This is a pretty strong play and will make it pretty hard for the enemies to play post plant, and it will also kind of tilt the enemies in a pretty simple way. Also, combined with that, you can use a suck or a stun. You can first use a stun, spam, do a lot of damage to the enemies, and like that. Then after that, using a suck, making sure nobody's going to be able to defuse. Other options for stuff that you can do on an Astra with the post plant is to go for alert. The reason I say that is because what I like to do sometimes is to go to the side, actually show that I'm here, and then go reflank over mid, because as an Astra I have some util to stop the enemies from defusing. If I'm just fast enough up here, I can use a suck if I hear them going for the defuse, and then I will make them think, yeah, I'm still in main, maybe then even use a stun on top of the spike. And if I have the right timing and my teammates can stall out for long enough, I'm behind the enemies, have a free kill on the people, and can get an easy kill on them and win the round for my team. This doesn't work if you have planted back here, but it can still be used sometimes to kind of catch the enemies off guard. What you can do if you have planted back there is to use a start like this. It is kind of a one-way, not really the best one, but it can work sometimes, and it also doesn't allow the enemies to really see you. The enemies can, however, hide inside of the one-way, but you will always see the spike if you have planted right here on this edge. You will always be able to see the spike, and you see if somebody is trying to go for the defuse, and like that you can just kind of hold the enemies and do a lot of damage to them. It makes it almost impossible for them to fight you unless they're going in front of the smoke, in which case they will not be able to go for defuse. If I had to give Astra a rating from S to F, I'd actually give her the 8 S tier. In my opinion, Astra is the best smokes you can play on this map. Her ability to have a wall that can be used to play post plant with, or just to even take the site, is pretty strong. You can get plants in pretty easily, and also her smokes and her stuns and sucks are in general just really good pieces of util you can use in a lot of different cases. In my opinion, Astra is better than any other smokes on this map, and if you want to play a smokes agent on Abyss, play an Astra, you will do it at the best for your team. Even if you have to learn how to play an Astra, I still think it is really worth it to play one. That would be it from me. If you want to see any other agent on any other map, write down in the comments, and if you want to see anything else Vand related, write it down there as well. And as always, don't forget to like and sub, and come say hi to me on Twitch, where I stream almost daily. Have a great rest of your day, and see you guys very soon. Bye!